Kale woke on a bed of bioluminescent moss, every muscle aching as if he'd been crushed under a landslide. The alien child slept beside him, tiny chest rising and falling, glowing softly in the low light. He tried to sit up, only to remember the pain in his ribs and legs from 12 merciless gunshots. Despite the agony, he forced himself upright. The world around him shimmered with an otherworldly brilliance, trees taller than city blocks, leaves glowing like lanterns, an air that carried a faint hum, as if the forest itself were alive. Lysra observed him silently from a few paces away, her golden eyes fixed with an intensity that made Kale feel like an open book. The dragon's scales reflected the phosphorescent light, iridescent patterns rippling as she shifted her weight. She crouched, lowering her massive head to his level, her voice calm yet resonant. "Human, you survived the fire and metal storm. Few of your kind endure so persistently. Yet you are fragile. I will teach, but understand adaptation is required." Kale exhaled slowly. "Adaptation? You mean survive in your crazy world without dying?" His voice was hoarse, but he forced a grin. "I've done worse for less." The dragon's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, Kale saw a spark of curiosity, or amusement. "We shall see." Lysra guided him through the alien settlement. The child, now awake, scampered ahead, its luminous skin painting the path in soft blues. Kale followed, wincing with every step. Floating platforms stretched between massive crystalline trees, glowing streams snaked through the air, and creatures with translucent wings flitted through shafts of light. It was beautiful and alien, and utterly lethal if one misstepped. "Walk carefully," Lysra warned, her voice carrying through the clearing. "Gravity and perspective are different here. Misjudgment will kill you." Kale tested his footing, hopping onto a floating platform, feeling the subtle tilt and shift beneath his boots. The physics were unlike anything on Earth or Krenara's terraformed zones, but instinct guided him. He gritted his teeth and took another step. "You're not as helpless as I expected," Lysra remarked. "Curiosity, or stubbornness. Call it stubbornness. Hasn't failed me yet," Kale said, forcing a chuckle. The child darted toward a pool of luminous liquid, bending down to scoop some in its small hands. Kale knelt beside it, studying its delicate features. "You okay?" he asked softly. The child's eyes flickered at him, then back to Lysra. Kale realized it was communicating silently, a language beyond human understanding, yet somehow intelligible through intent and gesture. Kale felt a surge of responsibility. This small being depended entirely on him. Lysra halted on the edge of a massive overlooking the floating city. "You must understand, human," she said, her voice echoing faintly across the expanse. "This child is vital. Its life holds weight beyond your comprehension. Your choices affect not just you, but many lives." Kale's jaw tightened. He had faced death before, but now survival wasn't enough. Every step could alter the balance of an alien civilization, and perhaps even the conflict with the Theron. "The Theron are aware of the child," Lysra continued. "They will send hunters. You cannot stay idle." Kale clenched his fists. "Then we don't stay idle. Tell me what I can do. I'm not going to be useless while they come for this kid." Lysra studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "We train. You learn our ways, combat, perception, survival beyond human limits. And you will teach me what your kind does best." The first lesson was subtle. Lysra demonstrated wing movement through the floating platforms, her massive body gliding with ease. Kale followed, clumsy at first, hopping and grabbing surfaces, nearly toppling into the glowing chasms below. "Balance!" Lysra barked, a growl beneath her words. "Predict momentum. Anticipate shift." Kale's body ached, but his mind adapted. He began to sense the subtle tilts in the platforms, the way gravity shifted near edges, the rhythm of air currents beneath his boots. Within hours, he could maneuver with confidence, albeit not with the grace of a dragon. "Not bad, human," Lysra said finally. "You learn quickly. More quickly than expected." Kale wiped sweat and blood from his brow. Fast learners get shot less, at least in my world. Lysera's eyes gleamed faintly. Your kind has cleverness, resourcefulness. I see now why you survived 12 bullets. As dusk fell, the tranquil beauty of Lysera's world was pierced by distant sounds, explosions, alien shrieks, and the unmistakable crackle of energy weapons. The Therin were probing the perimeter. Kale's instincts flared. They're scouting. Maybe testing defenses. Or finding us. He looked at Lysera. We need a plan. I can help, human style. Guerrilla tactics, traps, misdirection. Lysera's wings twitched. Your methods are unorthodox, but effective. We shall combine our forces. Show me. Hours passed in preparation. Kale and Lysera mapped terrain, identified choke points, and coordinated patrols with the alien warriors. Kale improvised traps using natural elements and energy fields he barely understood, showing the aliens the value of human ingenuity. By nightfall, the first confrontation began. A small group of Therin scouts descended into the luminous forest. Lysera roared, a sound that shook the floating platforms, and Kale initiated his ambush. Explosive charges sent enemies flying, debris masking their retreat. The aliens adapted to Kale's improvisations, following his lead with precision. The battle was over almost as quickly as it began. The scouts were repelled, injured, or captured. Kale stood among alien warriors, chest heaving, wounds burning. Lysera observed silently, then spoke. Your kind is more than fragile. Courage, resourcefulness, and moral choice mark you as remarkable. Perhaps we underestimated humanity. Kale smiled faintly, exhaustion pulling at his body. We're not perfect. But we fight smart. And we fight for what matters. The child approached, glowing faintly in relief, pressing against Kale's leg. He knelt, resting a hand on its small head. We're going to keep you safe. That's a promise. Lysera's gaze softened slightly. This human, you may yet change the course of our struggles. Watch closely, child. Learn the courage of this species. Kale exhaled, leaning against a crystal tree. For the first time since the outpost fell, he felt a thread of hope. The battle was won for now. But the war was far from over. And he had to ensure that both the child and the dragon woman could trust the human in their midst. Above, the stars shone faintly through alien clouds, silent witnesses to a human proving his worth, not through power, but through courage, ingenuity, and compassion. Kale woke to the faint hum of the alien forest, the air vibrating with a pulse that seemed alive. His body ached from every shot, bruise, and burn he had taken, but the pain was secondary to the awe pressing against his chest. The world around him shimmered in hues that humans had no names for. Trees soared hundreds of meters, their leaves glowing in iridescent blues and greens. Floating platforms drifted lazily above streams of luminescent liquid, and creatures with translucent wings and 6 glowing eyes hovered in the air, watching silently. The child was awake, its small, glowing form shivering slightly but curious, moving in cautious arcs around him. Kale reached a hand toward it. You okay? He asked quietly. The alien's eyes flickered, matching his tone with an unspoken understanding. Kale realized the child's communication was more about intent than sound, emotion woven into subtle gestures. Lysera emerged from the shadows, wings folding gracefully behind her, scales rippling with light. She studied Kale carefully. You survived 12 wounds, human, and still breathe. Few of your kind would endure. Yet you are frail. To exist here, adaptation is required. Kale winced as he struggled to stand. Adaptation? You mean learning to walk without breaking my neck? He muttered, trying to inject humor, though his ribs burned. Survival is no jest, Lysera replied. Her golden eyes flickered with curiosity. You will learn or perish. They began moving through her territory. The child ran ahead, leaving glowing streaks in the air. Kale stumbled at first, misjudging the floating platform's shifts and air currents. Each misstep sent his stomach lurching, but he adapted quickly, testing balance and momentum with cautious determination. Lysera's massive form glided beside him effortlessly, wings brushing the air in controlled beats. "You move clumsily," she said, her voice like thunder softened by music. "Yet determination shows potential. You may survive longer than I thought." Kale grinned through pain. "Clumsiness is my secret weapon." Lysera paused on the edge of a glowing cliff, gazing over the city-like expanse of her floating domain. "This child is central to more than your understanding. Theran forces know it. They will come. You must learn quickly." Kale's jaw tightened. He had fought enemies before, but this was different. The child's life was entwined with alien power he barely understood, and his decisions now could ripple across an entire civilization. "What do you want me to do?" Kale asked. "I can fight, I can set traps. I can think." "Then think. Observe. Adapt," Lysera said. "We will train. I will show you how to survive in this world, and you will show me your methods. Human ingenuity may yet be useful." Training began immediately. Lysera demonstrated movement between floating platforms, her massive wings adjusting the flow of air with precision. Kale tried to mimic her, hopping and grasping at glowing surfaces, nearly falling multiple times. The physics here were unlike anything he had experienced, yet instinct and human ingenuity allowed him to adjust quickly. "Predict momentum. Anticipate tilt," Lysera roared as Kale almost tumbled off a platform. "Your kind survives by reacting, but here calculation matters." Kale groaned, sweat mingling with blood, but he adapted, using his hands and feet to distribute weight, sensing air currents, and judging distances with care. After several hours, he could traverse the platforms without near misses. "Not bad, human," Lysera said, wings twitching. "Your species is clever. Resourceful. I see now why you survived 12 bullets." Kale wiped a hand across his brow. "Clever, huh? I'd call it lucky." The child wandered to a pool of liquid light, dipping its small hands into the luminescent water. Kale knelt beside it. "Don't drink it. I don't know what it'll do." The alien looked at him, then at Lysera, who nodded imperceptibly. Kale realized the child's life was governed by rules he could barely begin to grasp, yet instinct urged him to protect it. The serenity of the moment shattered when a distant explosion echoed across the platforms. Kale stiffened. Energy beams lanced through the air, Theran scouts probing the perimeter. "They've found us," Kale muttered. "We need a plan. I can help, human style. Guerrilla tactics, traps, misdirection." Lysera's wings twitched. "Unorthodox, but effective. Show me." They worked through the night. Kale mapped terrain, identified choke points, and coordinated positions with Lysera and her warriors. He improvised traps, combining natural materials with alien energy fields. The dragons, initially skeptical, followed his lead, their massive forms moving with precision he could not have imagined. Finally, the Theran scouts appeared, small but deadly, moving through the glowing trees. Kale initiated the ambush. Explosions erupted, knocking scouts from platforms. Energy pulses collided with improvised traps, disorienting the attackers. Lysera swooped down, wings stirring the air to hurl enemies off balance. The child watched from a safe distance, wide-eyed but unharmed. By the time the dust settled, the scouts were either incapacitated or retreating. Kale's chest heaved, every wound screaming in protest, but there was satisfaction in his gaze. Lysera approached, eyes narrowing in assessment. "Your species possesses courage, cunning, and the willingness to act despite weakness. Remarkable." Kale gave a small, bloodied laugh. "We're not perfect, but we get results. That counts, right?" The child stepped toward him, brushing against his leg. Kale knelt, placing a gentle hand on its glowing head. "We're going to keep you safe," he said. "That's a promise." Lysera inclined her massive head. "Watch carefully, child. Learn the courage of this species. Human action may yet tip the scales." Kale leaned back against a crystalline tree, taking in the alien sky above. Stars glittered faintly through drifting clouds, silent witnesses to a human who had defied odds, survived bullets, and earned the respect of a being stronger and older than any human could imagine. He realized then that survival was not just about strength or weapons, it was about ingenuity, courage, and moral choice. And he would need all of it to protect both the child and the dragon woman who now considered him worthy of trust. The night deepened, quiet save for the soft glow of alien life and the distant hum of unseen threats. Cale's eyes, though heavy with exhaustion, burned with resolve. The battle was over for now, but the war, and the true test of human courage, had only just begun. The air trembled with the approach of the Theran fleet, distant flashes of energy betraying their advance long before they reached the floating islands. Cale stood on a crystalline outcrop, the alien child nestled safely at his side, Lysera looming behind him, wings partially unfurled. He could feel the vibrations of her power through the ground beneath his boots, a subtle reminder that he was small, but not powerless. "They're coming in waves," Cale said, scanning the horizon. "If we don't act fast, they'll overrun the outer platforms before we can even react." Lysera's golden eyes glimmered. "Your strategy, human! How does your kind survive with such weakness and such courage?" Cale exhaled sharply, feeling the familiar ache of his wounds but focusing on clarity. "Divide and disrupt. We hit their scouts first, set traps, use the terrain. Make them think there are more defenders than there are. Confuse them. Draw them into narrow channels. I'll coordinate with your forces." The dragon lowered her massive head. "Lead, then. I will follow your calculations cautiously." Cale moved quickly, mapping ambush points and signaling alien warriors. Platforms were rigged with explosive traps, energy nets, and reflective surfaces to mislead sensors. Human ingenuity, born of improvisation under fire, melded seamlessly with Lysera's alien power. The child clung to Cale, sensing tension but trusting instinctively. The first wave arrived, swift, deadly, Theran warriors descending like shadows. Lysera roared, a sound that rattled the floating platforms and sent enemies staggering. Cale gave his commands, using hand signals and shouted orders. Alien soldiers dispersed exactly where he needed them. Energy traps ignited, sending beams ricocheting and creating chaos in the enemy lines. Cale darted forward, exploiting gaps in the enemy formation. He rolled behind a shard of crystal, firing a makeshift projectile launcher that detonated just as a squad of Theran elites appeared. Smoke and flashes masked his movement. His mind, though tired, was razor-sharp, every choice, every step calculated, every risk measured. Amid the battle, he saw Lysera grappling with a massive Theran war machine. Her wings beat furiously, energy blasts slamming against the attackers. Cale's heart thumped, not with fear, but determination. "Focus," he muttered to himself. "They can't kill what we protect." Then came Jarix, the Theran commander, a towering figure clad in obsidian armor, energy blades in hand. He landed near the child, forcing Cale into a direct confrontation. The child cried out, and Cale felt a surge of protectiveness stronger than any pain or exhaustion. "You think your human tricks can change the tide?" Jarix sneered, advancing. Cale gritted his teeth, dodging a lethal strike. "No. I think they can save lives." He pivoted, luring Jarix into one of the traps he had set. Explosions threw the commander off balance, and Cale pressed the advantage, weaving through debris and energy pulses. Lysera arrived mid-combat, wings sweeping, disarming and disorienting Jarix. Together, human cunning and dragon power became a synchronized force. Cale fired projectiles, ignited energy fields, and guided alien forces to cut off escape routes. Jarix faltered, stunned by the combined tactics he had not anticipated. In a decisive moment, Cale stood between the child and Jarix. Every ounce of strength and courage converged in a single act. He could have struck, destroyed, or taken revenge. Instead, he held his ground, voice steady. "Leave. Take your fleet and go. If you harm this child again, you'll regret it. But I won't stoop to your level." Jarix hesitated, then withdrew, recognizing the risk. Human defiance, calculated with precision, had shifted the balance. Lysera's massive form towered behind Cale, her wings flaring, a living wall of power and judgment. The battlefield quieted, broken only by the distant hum of damaged platforms and the labored breathing of combatants. The child ran to Cale, pressing against his leg, glowing softly as if affirming life and hope. Lysera approached, her eyes softer now, reflecting pride and approval. You have survived, human. Not by brute force, but by intelligence, courage, and moral choice. Your species earns respect. Cale exhaled, chest heaving, pain radiating from wounds that would take weeks to heal. I just did what I had to. Anyone would. Lysera's head lowered in an alien approximation of a bow. Few of your kind would, few would endure, fewer would choose mercy. You are remarkable, Cale Arden. Cale glanced at the child, then back at Lysera. We survived, together. That's what counts. The alien warriors, observing silently, seemed to reconsider their assumptions about humans. Intelligence, moral courage, and ingenuity, these were not weaknesses, but strengths. Cale had demonstrated that even a fragile species could influence outcomes on a galactic scale. The floating city glimmered in the afterglow of the battle, platforms intact though scarred, streams of luminescent water flowing uninterrupted. Cale and Lysera stood side by side, a human and a dragon, different yet aligned. Lysera's voice carried across the platforms. You will stay here, human, until you prove your place among us. The child is safe, for now. But the galaxy is vast, and threats are persistent. We will need your courage again. Cale nodded, exhaustion and relief mingling. Then I'll stay. Not because I have to, but because I want to. If helping you and this child saves lives, I'm all in. The child nestled into his arms, its glow pulsing in time with Cale's heartbeat. Lysera's massive wing brushed against him, a subtle acknowledgement of trust. For the first time, Cale felt the weight of his choices and the reward of his courage. Human resilience had been tested, not with power alone, but with morality, ingenuity, and unyielding determination. Above, stars blinked through drifting clouds, silent witnesses to the courage of a human who had faced impossible odds, earned the respect of a dragon, and saved a life that could shape the fate of worlds. Cale exhaled, gazing at the horizon. The war was far from over, the galaxy unpredictable. Yet for now, humanity had proven its worth, not through sheer strength, but through heart, mind, and unwavering moral courage. And Cale Arden knew that as long as he lived, he would continue to fight, adapt, and inspire, no matter the odds. The dragon woman, the child, and the human formed a fragile alliance, each learning from the other. The future was uncertain, but one truth had become undeniable. Humans were not just survivors, they were catalysts, capable of changing the course of even the most alien and dangerous worlds. And in that understanding, Cale found purpose. The floating islands shimmered in the early light of Krenara's twin suns, casting long, fractured reflections on the luminous rivers below. Cale moved carefully along the platforms, each step a negotiation with the alien physics that still challenged him. His wounds were healing, but every movement reminded him of the 12 bullets he had survived. Pain, however, had become a companion, not an obstacle. Survival had taught him endurance, and endurance had taught him focus. The child trailed behind, laughing softly as it chased a fluttering creature whose wings mirrored the iridescent glow of the trees. Cale smiled, a rare lightness in his chest. Protecting this small life, the life that had become a bridge between human and dragon, had given him a purpose he had never expected. Lysera observed from above, wings partially unfurled, scales catching the sun's glow. Her eyes, still golden and penetrating, were softer now, curious, watchful, almost proud. You adapt quickly, human. You have not only survived but learned. Yet I sense unease in your kind. Your species thrives on uncertainty. Do you not tire of this? Cale shook his head, his voice hoarse but firm. Uncertainty is survival. Without it you stagnate. We may be fragile, but we adapt faster than anything else I've seen. And right now, adaptation is the only way we survive in your world. Lysera inclined her massive head, wings folding in a deliberate motion. Indeed. Yet survival is not enough. You must understand influence. The child's importance goes beyond immediate danger. Theron forces will return, stronger and more cunning. You must prepare, not just for defense, but for strategy, foresight. Cale listened, absorbing every word. He had learned to read Lysera's silences as well as her speech. Here, human intuition and observation were as crucial as brute strength or firepower. I will help, Cale said simply. I've learned your tactics. I've seen your enemies. I can think like them, anticipate and counter. That's human ingenuity at work. Lysera's eyes narrowed. Human ingenuity, yes. But ingenuity is not always moral. You must teach the difference between cleverness that preserves life and cleverness that destroys. Balance is key. Cale nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on him. Protecting the child had already tested him morally, but the greater challenge was shaping a plan that could safeguard not just a life, but the fragile alliance they had forged. The next hours were spent in careful preparation. Cale studied maps of the floating islands, noting strategic choke points and high ground positions. He coordinated patrols with Lysera's warriors, ensuring overlapping coverage and backup. The child watched, learning instinctively, its bright eyes following every movement, its small hands mimicking Cale's gestures. See, Cale said softly, kneeling beside the child. You can predict movement, anticipate danger, and stay alive. Not because of strength, but because of thinking ahead. The child nodded, glowing brighter in acknowledgement. Cale felt a surge of pride. It was more than survival. It was education, preparation, and the beginning of trust. As night fell, an unnatural darkness rolled across the skies. Distant flashes of energy and the faint, unmistakable hum of Theron's ships signaled their approach. They were returning, larger, more organized, and Cale's mind raced through contingency plans. They come, Lysera said calmly, descending beside him. And this time, they will not underestimate you, or the child. Cale's chest tightened, but determination hardened his resolve. Then we'll make sure they regret it. I've got ideas, human strategies combined with your force. We can turn their numbers into a weakness. The first scouts appeared at the edges of the platforms, moving with deliberate caution. Cale signaled the alien warriors and activated the traps he had prepared, energy snares, reflective decoys, and hidden ambush points. The Theron were clever, but human improvisation caught them off guard. Explosions sent enemy forces scattering, and Cale's coordinated orders kept the defenders in optimal positions. Lysera swooped down, massive wings stirring the air into a vortex, scattering the remaining attackers. Cale ducked behind a crystalline pillar, using the debris and glowing terrain to his advantage. He fired a small improvised launcher, sending a burst of energy into a cluster of approaching enemies. The child screamed, not in fear, but in exhilaration, its glow pulsing like a beacon of hope. Cale smiled, feeling a rare surge of satisfaction amid the chaos. Then came the real threat, a larger Theron contingent, led by a commander even more formidable than Jarek's had been. Cale's mind raced. They had strength, yes, but predictability could be exploited. Using platforms, ambushes, and decoys, he lured them into a narrow canyon. Lysera blocked their advance with winged maneuvers, her roars reverberating through the chasms. Cale moved swiftly, coordinating every strike with precision. Explosions rocked the ground, energy beams illuminated the floating rivers below, and the child's soft glow provided a reminder of what he was fighting to protect. Every human instinct, every ounce of courage and cleverness, was deployed to outthink an enemy far stronger than him. Finally, the enemy commander faltered, miscalculating in the chaos Cale had orchestrated. Lysera seized the moment, striking decisively and scattering the remaining forces. The battlefield was quiet again, smoke curling from destroyed platforms, Theron soldiers retreating into the darkness. Cale sank to his knees, chest heaving, wounds throbbing. The child ran to him, pressing against his chest. "We did it," Cale whispered, exhausted but triumphant. "We actually did it." Lysera descended, golden eyes soft. "Remarkable. Your species, human, has not only survived but influenced the outcome of a battle that could have been lost. Courage, ingenuity, and moral choice, your kind has qualities even my people value. Kale nodded, looking at the child. It's not about us alone. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. That's what makes humans human. The dragon woman inclined her head, wings folding in a careful, deliberate motion. Then your place here is earned, Kale Arden. Not by force, but by wisdom and courage. The child is safe, for now. And you have shown that humanity can rise above weakness, influencing events that might otherwise overwhelm them. Kale exhaled, exhaustion mingling with pride. I've learned something too. Strength isn't enough. Planning, adaptation, and caring about the right things, that's what keeps us alive and makes a difference. The child nestled against him, glowing softly as if echoing his sentiment. Lysera's wings brushed against him gently, a silent acknowledgement of trust. Above, stars blinked through drifting clouds, witnesses to a human who had not only survived but inspired, protected, and altered the course of an alien conflict. Kale knew the war was far from over. Theran forces would return, challenges would escalate, and the galaxy remained a dangerous place. But for now, he had earned his place, not merely as a survivor, but as a catalyst, a human whose courage, intelligence, and moral choice could influence even the oldest and most powerful of civilizations. And in that realization, Kale felt purpose, resolve, and the unmistakable truth that humans were more than fragile, they were extraordinary. The alien sun rose slowly over Lysera's floating islands, painting the crystalline platforms in shades of molten gold and teal. Kale lay on the moss-covered ground, exhaustion gnawing at every muscle, yet his mind was awake, alive with the weight of what had transpired. 12 bullets, countless dangers, and near-death experiences had brought him here, not as a survivor, but as something more. Someone who could shape the outcome of worlds. The child's laughter echoed nearby, chasing shimmering creatures through the floating streams. Its glow pulsed with a serene rhythm, almost like a heartbeat synchronized with Kale's own. Watching it, Kale realized the depth of his responsibility. It wasn't just a life to protect, it was a bridge between species, a spark that could unite humanity and Lysera's kind in ways no one had anticipated. Lysera descended slowly, wings folding gracefully, casting a shadow that stretched over Kale. Her eyes, gold and knowing, met his. You have learned more than survival, human. You have learned influence, responsibility, and the strength of moral choice. But the universe is vast, and threats are relentless. You must go further. Kale propped himself on an elbow, wincing from pain but nodding. I understand. Survival taught me reflexes, combat taught me courage, and this has taught me that thinking ahead and protecting others is just as important as fighting. The dragon's lips curled into a semblance of a smile. Indeed. You are human. Frail, yet capable of extraordinary deeds. You may yet change the course of events that span beyond our skies. The tranquility of the morning was shattered by distant tremors, a low, resonant vibration through the floating islands. Kale's heart tightened. Theran forces were returning, larger and more relentless than before. But this time, he didn't panic. Preparation and observation had sharpened his mind. He moved swiftly, inspecting platforms, traps, and defensive positions. We must anticipate their moves, Kale said, speaking to both Lysera and the child. They will test us in new ways. They'll expect brute force, so we'll give them precision, unpredictability, and intelligence. Every mistake they make, we will exploit. Lysera inclined her head. Your kind's ingenuity is fascinating. Lead, and we follow. But you must understand, Kale Arden, failure carries greater consequences now. Kale nodded, a calm determination settling in. Then we won't fail. Not now, not ever. This child, you, everyone counting on us, we survive, and we win because we have to, not just because we can. Hours later, the Theran arrived. This time, their fleet was immense, the sky darkened by the shadow of warships and scout drones. Their weapons fired in synchronized bursts, tearing into the floating islands with destructive precision. Kale's traps triggered, throwing off their formation. Energy nets misled their sensors. Reflective crystals distorted visual tracking. Every human-devised trick he could imagine became a reality, amplified by Lysera's alien power. The battle was relentless. Kale dodged blasts, directed warriors, and improvised solutions in real time. The child stayed close, glowing with an almost hypnotic light that seemed to soothe the terrified creatures around it. Kale realized that human ingenuity wasn't just about tools, it was about quick thinking, intuition, and moral courage under pressure. At the center of the battle, Kale confronted the new Theron commander, a towering figure wielding energy blades and armored in obsidian that seemed impervious. Kale's body ached, but he didn't hesitate. He baited the commander into a narrow canyon, where traps, debris, and the environment itself became weapons. Lysera struck from above, wings generating shockwaves that threw the enemy off balance. Kale fired improvised launchers, detonated energy fields, and coordinated attacks with alien warriors who now trusted him implicitly. Every human decision, no matter how small, created ripple effects that amplified the collective force of their defense. This is human courage. Lysera's voice echoed in Kale's mind, deep and musical. Not strength alone, but strategy, empathy, and will. Observe, child, for this is what humans can become. The battle reached its climax as Kale and Lysera cornered the commander. Rather than striking blindly, Kale feigned weakness, drawing the enemy into a trap of collapsing platforms and energy snares. The commander faltered, giving Lysera the opening to incapacitate it decisively. The remaining Theron forces retreated, broken and disoriented, leaving the floating islands intact. Kale sank to his knees, exhausted, every breath a reminder of his mortality. The child ran to him, pressing its glowing body against his chest. "We did it," Kale whispered, a smile breaking through the blood and sweat. "We actually did it." Lysera descended beside him, eyes soft, wings folding in acknowledgement. "You have survived, human. Not merely by reflex, but through intellect, courage, and moral choice. Your species is extraordinary. Your actions here will echo far beyond this battlefield." Kale looked at the child, then at Lysera, understanding the weight of his deeds. "It's not about strength alone," he said. "It's about thinking ahead, protecting those who can't protect themselves, and never giving up. That's what humans do." The child glowed brighter, almost pulsating in affirmation, as if reflecting Kale's essence. Lysera's wing brushed him gently, a gesture of trust, respect, and perhaps a bond deeper than mere survival. Kale rose slowly, scanning the horizon. Stars flickered through drifting clouds, witnesses to a human who had faced impossible odds, learned, adapted, and inspired. He realized then that survival was only the beginning. Human ingenuity, morality, and courage were tools that could shape the galaxy itself. Lysera spoke finally, her voice calm, powerful, and filled with unspoken promise. "Kale Arden, your place is no longer beneath my shadow. You have proven that humanity is capable of more than survival. You are a force, capable of altering destinies. The child is safe, but threats remain. We will need your courage again." Kale nodded, feeling a rare clarity. "Then I'll stay. Not because I have to, but because I want to. If my choices can save lives and change the tide, I'll do it every time." The child nestled into his arms, glowing softly, a symbol of hope, unity, and trust. Kale gazed at Lysera, the dragon woman who had once seemed impossible, now an ally and friend. The floating islands shimmered in the dawn light, peaceful for the moment, but holding the quiet promise of future challenges. Kale realized the truth of his journey: humanity was not fragile. It was resilient, clever, and capable of moral courage that could inspire even the most alien beings. The galaxy was vast, full of danger and uncertainty, but as long as humans persisted, adapted, and cared, they were a force to be reckoned with. And Kale Arden, survivor of 12 bullets, guardian of a child, an unlikely hero of a dragon's world, knew one undeniable fact: humans could rise not by power alone, but by heart, mind, and courage. The battle was over, the alliance forged, and a new chapter of human influence had begun. The galaxy would never be the same. The floating islands were quiet, but Kale knew the calm was temporary. Even in the soft morning glow, the air hummed with tension. The Theron had retreated, but their intelligence was relentless. Every victory was temporary. Kale paced along a crystalline walkway, the alien child trailing behind him, small hand clasped in his own. Every step a negotiation with physics that didn't conform to Earth's rules, every movement a reminder of how far he had come. Lysera perched above, wings folded but alert, her golden eyes scanning the horizon. You have grown in strength and cunning, Kale Arden. But the greatest challenge is not survival. It is the choices you make when the stakes are higher than your own life. Kale exhaled, muscles aching from the battles and exertion. I've learned that, he said. Every time we fight, it's not about killing enemies, it's about protecting lives. That includes people, creatures, even species. That's what humans do. Lysera's gaze softened, almost imperceptibly. Yes, your species is capable of remarkable thought, not only in strategy but in morality. Yet understanding intention is crucial. You must decide not just how to win, but why. Your actions ripple beyond this moment. Kale knelt beside the child, watching it chase a luminous creature along a floating stream. We've been lucky so far. But luck won't save everyone. We have to be smarter, faster, and anticipate more than brute force. Suddenly, an alarm echoed across the platforms, Lysera's sensors detecting movement in the distant skies. Theron reconnaissance ships were returning, faster, more numerous, coordinating in patterns Kale had never seen. He stiffened, adrenaline surging. They're not just scouting. They're learning, adapting. We have to act now. Lysera's wings flared. You must lead. We will follow your plan, but understand, the lives here depend on your decisions. Kale's mind raced. They couldn't fight blindly this time. Human ingenuity had won small battles, but the scale of this attack required strategy, foresight, and moral precision. We need layers, he muttered to himself. Diversion, traps, controlled engagement. And we need to protect the child at all costs. He quickly mapped escape routes, fallback positions, and defensive choke points. The alien warriors moved with him, trusting his commands. He arranged decoys, energy snares, and hidden platforms that could collapse to trap or disorient the enemy. Every human principle of tactical advantage merged with Lysera's raw power and alien technology. The Theron arrived, a wave of shadowed ships slicing through the sky. Energy beams tore through the air, igniting parts of the floating islands. Kale's heart raced, but his mind stayed calm. He issued precise instructions, coordinating movements of warriors, platforms, and traps. Each human decision amplified the effect of their combined defenses. The first clash was chaotic. Explosions sent enemy troops tumbling, energy snares disrupted sensors, and Kale darted through debris, using every advantage he had learned. The child's glow acted as a guide for defenders, an anchor of hope amid destruction. Kale realized that humans were not just survivors, they were catalysts, influencing outcomes beyond their size or apparent strength. Amid the battle, Kale noticed a small group of Theron attempting to flank the child's position. His mind calculated rapidly, predicting their path. He intervened, using debris, energy traps, and controlled blasts to intercept them, guiding Lysera to strike precisely at the right moment. The attackers were incapacitated before they could reach the child. Lysera landed beside him, scanning the horizon. Your species' foresight is astonishing. Few would anticipate with such clarity. Kale's chest heaved, pain from old wounds mingling with the effort of the battle. Clarity comes from responsibility, he said. When someone depends on you, you don't hesitate. You calculate, adapt, and act. The Theron commander emerged, this one larger, more formidable than the last. His energy blades shimmered, armor reinforced with alien alloys. Kale took a deep breath. He could fight directly, but experience had taught him that brute force alone would fail. Instead, he lured the commander into a trap of collapsing platforms and energy snares, carefully calculated to exploit timing and environmental advantages. Lysera swooped in, creating a vortex that disrupted the enemy's balance. Kale fired improvised projectiles, detonated energy fields, and orchestrated alien warriors' attacks with perfect timing. Every human decision mattered, every calculated risk leveraged the environment and allies. Finally, the commander faltered, trapped between Kale's strategy and Lysera's raw power. Kale stepped forward, standing resolute. "Leave," he said firmly. "This child, this place, lives. Your fight is meaningless here. Go, or face the consequences of your choices." The commander hesitated, recognition dawning. Human courage, combined with alien precision and moral authority, had shifted the balance. Reluctantly, the Theron withdrew, leaving destruction in their wake but no loss to Kale's side. Kale sank to his knees, every wound screaming, but a sense of purpose filled him. The child ran to him, glowing softly, pressing against him. "We did it," he whispered, voice hoarse but firm. "We survived, and we made a difference." Lysera descended, wings folding, her eyes reflecting respect and acknowledgement. "You have proven that humans are not merely fragile creatures. Intelligence, courage, and moral choice define you. You influence outcomes beyond strength alone. Your species has worth." Kale looked at the child and then at Lysera, understanding the depth of his role. "It's not about being strong. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves, thinking ahead, and choosing the right actions. That's humanity." The child's glow pulsed in agreement. Lysera's wing brushed him gently, a gesture of trust and respect. The floating islands glimmered in the aftermath, scarred but intact, a testament to careful planning, courage, and human ingenuity. Kale rose slowly, scanning the horizon. Stars flickered faintly through drifting clouds. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but humans were more than mere survivors. They were catalysts, capable of shaping events with intellect, morality, and courage. Lysera spoke finally, her voice both soft and commanding. "Kale Arden, your place is earned. You have not only survived, you have influenced outcomes, protected life, and demonstrated the power of your species. The child is safe, for now, but the universe remains dangerous. Your courage will be needed again." Kale nodded, determination hardening within him. "Then I'll stay. Not because I have to, but because I want to. I'll fight, think, and protect, every time it matters." The child nestled into his arms, glowing brighter, a beacon of hope and unity. Kale gazed at Lysera, the dragon woman who had once seemed untouchable, now a trusted ally and friend. Together, human, dragon, and child formed an alliance capable of facing even the vast threats of the galaxy. Kale exhaled, knowing one truth above all: humanity was not fragile. It was resilient, adaptive, clever, and morally capable of influencing worlds. Survival was only the beginning. Purpose, courage, and intellect defined true strength. And Kale Arden, human, survivor, strategist, and protector, was ready for the next storm.